Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Adventures in Fast Food and Retail. First up we have Difficult Colleague, UK focused. Hey all, I want to share my situation and see some opinions please. This is in the UK, so UK laws and regulations firmly apply. I work for a large convenience chain. Shop theft is a constant issue and we are currently having a really tough time with it. Firstly, I should add, it isn't my stock, I don't care about it, and I follow company policy regarding shoplifting because it simply isn't my job to handle it, which is the correct way to deal with it. I saw a woman in, well, I won't say that, it was a local shop where she was just a lady working the counter and she decided to stop thieves as they were walking out the door, which technically at that point, they haven't really stolen anything. There might be a loophole as intent to steal or something, but lady, if you got hurt at that point, your employers aren't going to care, they'll just replace you. Anyway, that's what I was thinking. Because it actually happened, I'll get on with the story in a minute, it actually happened while I was working in retail that one of my colleagues, not the shift I was on, but one of my colleagues had tried to stop a shoplifter and she got injured. They just got someone else to fill her shifts while she was out. I have a colleague who has been with the company forever. She is not popular due to her attitude, crap work ethic, etc., etc. But the biggest issue for me is how she deals with shoplifting. To say she is hands-on is an understatement. She has been told in the past to not get involved, but she constantly gets in thieves' faces, puts hands on and attempts to recover stock. My current and newish manager is not great and isn't taking action. Frankly, she should have been sacked ages ago, but to my knowledge, she hasn't received any formal disciplinary action. My previous manager was also hands-on with thieves, so never disciplined her. She's a nightmare. So I was shown security footage from an incident a few days ago, where she got stuck in. There were two thieves with bags full of goods from our shelves. My colleague followed one of them around the store, shoulder to shoulder, whilst jostling and pushing and shoving. This is bad enough. But towards the end of the incident, she picked up a "Caution wet floor" sign and repeatedly smacked one of the thieves as he was heading to the exit. Oh no, I wasn't attempting to steal, Your Honour, I swear. It's just that one of the members of staff began attacking me while I was in the shop, and I fled absent-mindedly without actually paying for the goods. It was not my intent, but I didn't feel safe returning to the store. Whilst doing this, she positioned herself in a manner which prevented the second thief from exiting the store. She was shouting and bawling abuse throughout. I guess send a maniac to catch a maniac. Meanwhile, customers were present and very close by, including a man with a very small baby in a pushchair. My other colleague was on scene but correctly out of harm's way, offering space and an exit route to the remaining thief. In the end, she wrestled a bag from one thief, but got the wrong one. She recovered what looked like a pot of Greek yogurt for her troubles. It is pretty expensive though, actual Greek yogurt. That's why a lot of the cheaper brands say Greek style. She has no sense. She gets stuck in despite current and clear information that we are being targeted by thieves who are carrying weapons. I have a feeling this problem's going to fix itself soon then. I watched the video and in my mind, I concluded that while she has potentially put herself in actual mortal danger, I was more concerned for the customers who she was moving through and most importantly my other colleague. This is the most important part to me. My other colleague is a male and quite a big guy. Whilst he was actively posing no threat during this situation, I just know if the second shoplifter had been carrying a knife, he was a potential primary target, rather than my idiot of a colleague. This is exhausting. I don't want to get into conflict because of a colleague's poor choices. I have had a tangle in the past with a thief who threatened me with a broken bottle. I only did it to defend another colleague who was in serious danger. After that, I said never again. So the problem is that she constantly gets away with this behavior despite being utterly foolish and incredibly risky to others. On my next shift, I'm going to ask to never be put on the rota with her, because I'm worried that she's going to run out of luck and I don't want to be there when it happens. I also want to escalate the matter, but my manager is no use, and I think he'll brush over any of my concerns despite seeing the footage. What would you do? Well, you could probably raise it with your area manager, maybe get the number for HR, address your concerns with them. You're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is most stores have the policy of don't intervene. If it's a serious enough issue that they feel it needs to be addressed, they'll hire security for it. I recall the place I worked, and this was quite a while back, over 10 years ago, dear. There were brief occasions during certain times, like during renovations and such, they would have a security guard. Lovely people. I don't know if they ever actually stopped any thieves, but lovely people. And as you say, it's not your job. You don't get appreciated for putting yourself in danger. And if you do get injured, then you can't work. You can't earn your living. Because we all know we have to earn a living. Sorry, that's another pet peeve of mine. My inner communist. But yeah, at the end of the day, you've got the right attitude. And while she can risk herself in any way she wants outside of work, acting like this in work it's going to get somebody hurt. And unfortunately, it probably won't be her. And really, those thieves... I know I did a little skit earlier about how the thieves could claim that they were afraid for their lives, but really they could argue something like that in court. They couldn't prove otherwise. All the camera would show is that they were in the shop. Oh yes, I put items in a bag, but I meant to pay for them. I didn't actually intend to leave the shop without paying for them. She's a silly, silly woman. I think we've all worked with people who have that have-a-go hero attitude. And there's a time and a place to maybe step in, absolutely. A retail shop isn't the time or the place if shoplifters are about. I only ever stopped one thief while I worked there. It was a regular. This is a guy I still see about. I didn't get aggro with him, I just stood by the door, held out my hand, and he gave me the bag full of stuff he just stole. And I only did that because I knew he wouldn't get violent. This guy's tapped me for money so many times in the years since, thankfully I don't carry cash anymore. Alright, story number 2. Cheap-ass customers. Shaking my head by Small War, 5486. On my 3rd week of working for this shoe company as junior sales associate, and while the pay is low, the benefits are pretty alright, and I was planning to work there for a year. So our store is having this 4-day public holiday sale where we let a fixed amount of customers redeem a huge sale discount, like 60% off sale, for our shoes. When that limit of customers who redeemed the discount has reached, we allow the rest of the customers to enjoy a slightly smaller discount, 30% off, to still retain a bit of appeal and increase a bit of sales. On the 3rd day of the sale, after we finished our huge sale, we continued the smaller discount as per normal. Here comes this customer who wanted to get a pair of shoes for his daughter. He realized the huge discount was finished for the day, and was trying to talk me into giving him the bigger discount, as if he was that special customer, and as if you were the fucking owner. Sorry, it's just pet peeves, I hate it when people do that. I told him he can come back tomorrow for the last day of the sale, and I advised him to be early for the bigger sale, as the deal ends by early afternoon. I even suggested he can buy 3 pairs of shoes and redeem the 60% off. I was supposed to parrot this to potentially help with sales by a senior staff. He was unhappy, but told me he would return back. I'll be back. An hour later, he brought his family back, and then saw another staff, which he presumably asked to get my name. Came back to me, calling me by my name, which freaked me out. The staff in our outlet don't have name tags, by the way. That's very unusual. Either way, I showed this selection of shoes to his daughter. She shows interest in one shoe design that both the guy and his wife was showing passive disapproval to because it was heavy. That'll just make her legs stronger. What the fuck? Wasn't this supposed to be what she wants to wear? The wife, not being happy with our limited selection, asked me if any nearby outlet or store, to which I told them, one being a few hundred meters of walk away. The husband, being the cheapskate he is, was like he didn't want to deal with car parking fees. Then walk? Oh wait, they're out buying shoes. Maybe their shoes aren't good enough for walking. Here comes the infuriating part. After I've finally brought the shoes to the daughter, which she fits in perfectly well and liked very much, The dad was asking me if he could still enjoy the 60% off discount that he missed on his own end. The shoes were already $48 USD after our smaller discount. He kept pushing back and forth, and I only repeated the very things said by my own staff. He got impatient, asked for the senior staff only for her to repeat the same thing, I said myself. Dude was not happy. I'd imagine that's a lifelong thing, though, and was just being an embarrassment for causing some unnecessary kerfuffle over not wanting to pay $20 extra. He told me he'll come back tomorrow. Like, dude, you're not special. Just go to a store with cheaper shoes instead of arguing with a teen adult for this. Story number 3. Just a Rant by Shadow 50,000. Just beyond done with this crap. I work produce. I used to mostly close. I'm pretty decent at it. We recently, within the past 6 months, got 2 new closers, and they've gradually taken over my slots in the schedule. I've been moved to mornings mostly, and recently they've been putting me in the fruit and vegetables cutting section, since they're lacking for people over there. Well, ever since they moved me to that section and off of closing has become worse and worse. As example, I opened one day, broke down truck, started on tables for a bit until my shift ended, and set up my closer with a few carts to work. I check out with the manager, and he says you can stay and work salads. I asked why. He says if you don't stay and work them, then the closer won't get them done. Okay, sure, fine. I stay an extra hour, hope you bloody well got paid for it, and get it done. Looking at the holes in the floor and the trash in the back, I think that it shouldn't be that difficult for our closer to get that done, because he has a head start due to me getting salads done. I come in the next morning. There are still holes in the floor and trash is still in the back. When I left, he had 6 hours left on his shift, so I don't know what he was doing. If I had closed, that would have gotten done. I question why he's still here after 6 months, why this company has such an issue with firing people. Probably because they think they won't be able to fill the position very fast, and in their eyes a bad worker is better than no worker. I think that philosophy is crap. I'd rather have nobody for 2 months if that means we get someone competent. If they actually vet their workers, maybe they just hire anyone since hardly anyone applies. Anyway, last thing. They started adding fruit cutting shifts to my schedule like 3 weeks ago. I've worked like 9 days back there, maybe total of 35 to 40 hours. I'm not the fastest cutter, but I'm slowly learning how to do all the fruits and some vegetables. Yesterday I was scheduled until 1 with one of the more experienced cutters. We cut a decent amount. Get the fruit wall mostly full, is getting close to 1, and I ask her what I should work on. She says since we can't cut everything, to just cut a big bowl of cantaloupe, and cling wrap it and put it in the cooler, and they can package it tomorrow first thing in the morning. Well, I do that and clean up and go home. Today I'm assigned with that same lady again. I get through the majority of my shift, and then my manager grabs me and pulls me into the office. I hope there was no actual grabbing going on, because that would be a slappable offense. He says that since I did not fill the entire wall and I didn't check out with the manager, that I'm being written up. Refuse it. I say I checked out with the lady back there. I was just going off her lead. They say that's not good enough. You need to check out with an actual manager. They say expectations have been set and they expect the wall to be full when I leave. Keep in mind, yesterday she told me I was free to go. They also have been severely cutting hours for everybody in the department. So I was scheduled 6 to 1 as opposed to 6 to 2. A normal 8-hour shift. They can't have it both ways. Oh, but they'll try. You're doing an hour less, doesn't matter, you still need to do 8 hours worth of work. 9 if you can manage it. They can't cut hours and then expect me to stay over because that cuts into the hours we have available. And then next week I'll get scheduled less. I get it, I could work faster, but I've barely worked a week in that section, my speed is still improving. Oh, I'll bet your speed is just fine. I just find that they kind of set me up to fail, and the fact that they let 2 people take over my position to do a significantly worse job, and they let them stay in that position with hardly any punishment. They're probably shagging somebody, while punishing me very quickly for not succeeding in a position I barely know how to do is infuriating. I want to do a good job, but they simply won't let me, because you're working for arseholes. I actually got mad once and shouted all this at both my manager and the temporary store manager. By the way, we haven't had a store manager in like a month because our old manager was fired for unknown circumstances. We also haven't had an assistant produce manager for like 6 months, ever since the current manager got put into his position. So he has less help. I shouted at them that why don't you just pull the 2 closers and put them in cutting and put me back in closing if you want everyone to do a good job. If you want to set me up to fail, that's your problem, not mine. I signed their write-up. You should have refused to do it. You are within your right to do so. They may have took more action, but you're within your right to refuse to do so. Because I wasn't about to get written up twice for insubordination or whatever. But that's where I'm at. It makes sense to me why that experienced lady completely stopped giving a shit. Like, she will be late, she will leave on time and not stay over, etc., etc. She's still really good at her job, but it's clear that she doesn't care. It's almost like treating workers fairly, compensating them appropriately for the work, makes them better workers. But so many fucking businesses just don't get that little bit of factual information. It's a fairy tale to them. And it's just apathy because she knows the standards are impossible to meet. Because they don't have enough people or good enough people, and she's not getting the satisfaction of a job well done. I spoke to my manager after that meeting and apologized for my outburst. Don't ever apologize when it's legitimate. I told them I just wanted to get my point across, and if they were receptive to it in the first place, he wouldn't have had to yell. He says that they're going to slowly try to get me back into closing. Why slowly? No valid reason for that. That's just to placate you. So that's at least one positive. Story number 4. I Didn't Set the Price, Ma'am, by Worth Huckleberry 338. This one is mildly annoying. This customer noticed that the price of the big boxes are the same as the price for the smaller ones. She comes up to me asking, "Why is it the same price for both? The smaller one should be cheaper." Then buy the big one. I thought maybe we put the wrong tag, but she was right about both boxes being the same price. I told her I don't set the prices. It looks like the company decided to value them both the same. There is no mistake, just some strange corporate decision. She asked me to call somebody over. I asked her if she wanted me to call someone over to explain the prices to her. Yes. Okay. Somebody else came over and told her the exact same thing I did. She said, "I know I'm being an annoying customer, but this doesn't make sense, so I want to know why." She has some self-awareness, but not enough to realize she's asking the wrong person. Just buy the damn box you want. Yeah, long ago I learned to stop, in most cases, asking employees questions like that, because they don't know. They send the shit in, they put it on the shelves. That's really their extent. It's not like they're ordering the stuff. And by long ago, I mean like a couple hours, because I did it earlier. Later, some other customer came in with a similar situation. He wanted to check the prices between 2 umbrellas. The price difference between the large umbrella and the small umbrella was $7. Why is the bigger one $7 more? I feel the answer is in the question. I just sighed to myself, because what do you think? Clearly the way things are priced aren't simply big equals more expensive. His questioning doesn't even matter, because he was going to buy the cheaper one anyways. This would have been a nice conversation to have with a customer, but they don't have the intellect to understand that the prices aren't in our control. We just sell the product at the price point that corporate sets it. Also, the woman just pulled my coworker aside and kept him from focusing on one of his 1,000,000 tasks just for him to reconfirm what I said. I get that sometimes customers want to feel like they can have a friendly conversation with associates. I'm just tired of it because the topics tend to be very dumb. It was a valid question, but to press on about it is ridiculous. She didn't have to grab a different person to run an investigation about it. Usually people complain about our ink prices. I just give them an awkward smile and shrug, saying, "Yep, that's how much it is here." Immediately they ask for some sort of discount or sale. Nope, we don't have any at the moment. It kinda annoys me when they make a remark about going to another retailer. Great, fuck off, be someone else's problem. The price is still about the same in other chains. Also, they regard me as some sort of scammer. I don't think people are that bright. Corporate knows this. They know that the associates are going to be blamed for their decisions since we're the people in the facing position. They think that we sat at meeting desks and decided, let's mark up the prices today. I swear, when customers, certain customers, see employees, they don't see people, they simply see an aspect of the company. So they can't process that you're a person, you have certain responsibilities, there's certain things you just can't do, and indeed will not know in many cases. No, you are an aspect of the company, therefore you must know what the company knows, as if it's some sort of sentient, multi-headed organism. That's a horrifying thought. Fifth and final story for this video. Taking offense to being asked, oh these fuckers, taking offense to being asked for ID by Fitzward. I don't get it, but every time someone gets fired up about showing ID, I'm at the point where I just deny them. Even if I'm pretty damn sure they're over 21, it isn't worth the consequences for me just to give in. But that's literally what they want. And no, don't ever give in. Some honourable mentions. Man that turned out to be 26 had a very youthful face. I asked for ID. I had never seen him before, nor had the assistant manager who was nearby telling me about some new paperwork we had to start using. Instead of just getting it out, he says, "Han, I bet I'm way older than you." With a big chuckle as he looked to his buddies at another register. They got a giggle too. I just told him that I still needed to see it. It's the law. When he finally hands it over, chuckling again, I got the last laugh, though. I scanned it to make sure it was real. As I handed it back, I said, "This is why we ID. I don't know how old you think I must be, but I was 14 when you were born." Now who's got the youthful face? His friends laughed at him, and one of them stopped to flirt with me. "You look very good for 40, etc." Another honourable mention. Some beefed-up, drunk or roided-up butthole plopped his 12-pack on the counter. At first, one of the teenagers that works in the hot delis saw I was busy and went to approve the sale, asked politely for ID. Jerk starts screaming that he doesn't have to show him anything. I mean, he's right, he doesn't. I mean, he does if he wants to get served, but technically he doesn't have to show you anything. Just not getting them brewskis. Some roundabout personal information. Stupid. The kid sees me, raises up his arms in frustration, and I gesture that he can go back to his station. The rant continues even as I step up. "I work my ass off all day. I'm not using these fucking machines, and you don't need to see my information." He throws 20-ish bucks at me, reaches for the case of White Claw, yep, so badass you are, and screams for the whole store. "I'm good to go, right? Right?" I calmly replied, "I'm sorry, sir. Even if you did show me ID now, I would still deny this sale. It appears to me you may be intoxicated. Legally, I have to refuse. Here is your cash, and I hope your day gets better." He attempts a staring contest. Oh no, not the eyes. I guess trying to intimidate me because he's breathing and snorting like a bull with the flu. I just grab the case and start to walk it back. He asks if I'm serious. Well, shouts. I get the case to the cooler and tell him to enjoy the rest of the day again. The poor kid he targeted first looked at me like I was his hero, giggling and telling other co-workers what I had done. Unfortunately, it's not always a win. I've been physically attacked twice and threatened many times. I still can't afford the fine or possible prison time. Yeah, I mean, I've had, well, thankfully I don't work retail anymore, but when I was, so many times I'd have to refuse people for various reasons for ID, or I'd ask them for ID and they'd be like, "You ID me every time I come in here." And I'm thinking, well, then you should know you're going to get ID'd, why don't you have it? I think I even said that to a few of them. They don't like it when you say that to them. Oh, then you've got the geniuses who you literally refuse to serve them. The father or mother then comes in. It's obvious they're buying it for them. In fact, they'll even tell you in some cases they're buying it for them. which is called intent to supply, and legally you absolutely have to refuse. Now, if they just kept their fucking mouth shut, you wouldn't have known because you didn't necessarily see them with the person, unless they were right beside, in which case you'd have to refuse. And you're like, well, I'm sorry, and now that I know you're buying it for them, I have to refuse you. One guy told me not to fuck with him. He definitely wasn't my type, so there was no danger of that. Anyway, I had a point. No, I didn't. I was just yammering. It is always a power move, though, when they throw their money down. And I've done that myself. I threw the money back at them, put the beer to the side, and I'm like, okay, get out. The place I worked in was across from a pub. So they'd get kicked out of the pub because they were too drunk. Come in, pick up a pack of 4 cans of Tennant's Lager or something like that. Come up to me. I'd refuse them because they're so obviously inebriated. Then go away, pick up another pack off the shelf, then try and go to somebody else. And if it was a newer colleague, then I'd have to say to them, don't serve them, they've just been refused. In fact, I recall even one occasion where it was I think they must have been they tried to put the sale through, and I was like, no, don't serve them. And then I had to explain, that person's drunk, you could get into a lot of trouble for that. Plus, it pissed me off that I just refused them when they were trying to put a sale through. Anyway, that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. $1 or more gets you early access to all the videos at once on Monday. There's also a link to my monkeys? My merchandise store, as well as my Discord server and my Threads account, and my email is kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's everything for now, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye bye.